everybody, welcome to Stockradar Stocks on the Move. Today's date is the 26th of August 2021. Education is key. Why? It gives you an awareness and an understanding of what you need to do to trade successfully and, more importantly, safely. Whether you do it or not is entirely up to you, and that's where the discipline issue kicks in. Okay, that's what I'm always talking about, the discipline to actually know what to do and then to actually do it. And that's the hard part we all find. My name is Richard Lee and I manage the stockradar.com.au website for you. We do price analysis, risk management, systems, behavioural analysis, processes, trading models and portfolios. All these things are explored on the website to help you understand the market better. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about managing momentum today. I'm just going to go through what we normally cover off, which is managing momentum is my topic today. We'll look at the overseas markets, the ASX 200, look at the Stockradar portfolio, and I have a good look at that later on, a screen dump off the website to see all the ratings you can see there for the stocks. We'll look at some ASX stocks, and then, as I said before, we'll look at some Stockradar stock picks with all their ratings. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at. When the market's hot, you run with it because it won't always be so. Now is the time to make money because it's running so well. So that's what we're looking at today, why we should do that sort of thing. Okay, let's get into the markets. Firstly, Dow Jones Industrial Average is looking fine. We don't need to spend much time on that. It's going up, has been for a long time. There's nothing there to warn us of any concern. So we can go straight to look at the Nasdaq. Similar picture, the stock's still going up. There's a sheer weight of money just moving this higher and higher and higher. And there's nothing really, as I say, to be concerned about at this stage. We look over at commodities. We look at Brent, which has come under a bit of pressure lately. Now, it has had a rally this week. I'm not that impressed by it. We've had a bit of a breakdown up here. We've got this resistance up here, and there's certainly a lot of price pressure on this. We're not seeing a lot of volume this week. I know we've got a couple of days to go yet, but there's nothing substantial about this at the moment. We did break below the average just briefly. The MACD has slowed down a bit, so there's certainly a little bit of a concern there. We may go into a bit of a consolidation phase for Brent crude at the moment. Copper, similar picture. It's had a great run, as has crude. It's run for most of the year, and it's now having a bit of pressure. We've got a lower high here, which is a little bit of a worry, and that's been putting pressure on this S1 level down here. It's held up this week for sure, but there's certainly going to be some pressure on there. There's a lot of debate up here, and this has certainly slowed down as well. So again, just be a little bit careful of racing into your copper stocks at the moment. And gold, similarly, it's right in the middle of the range. Just gets tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter as we are in no man's land. Nobody seems to know what's happening here. We've had a great big rally, which has been good. But now it's suffered quite a bit, and this higher low is a worry to me. And S1 is a real test. We briefly tested it a couple of weeks ago, and it came back up. So it's not over yet, but a little bit of concern on gold, and our gold index itself is not doing very well either. Okay, we go to the XJO now. The XJO, well, it's an interesting story, this one, and has been for a while. If we look at this, we look at the extraordinary collapse that we saw last year from COVID, and we all thought the world was going to fall off the edge, but sure enough, even though we had this COVID problem throughout the world for a while, the market has just gone gangbusters and actually up 58% since that low. And don't markets always surprise us? Never forget that, because they always do it. So never be sure about anything. Just follow those trends, and that will keep you safe. And we followed this trend pretty well the whole way up, and it's been very rewarding for us at this stage. But it looks fine. ASX 200 has made new highs and is looking quite strong at the moment. I only respond to the now, which is up. I'm not going to worry about anything else at this stage. Okay. So now, if I just look at that also, the ASX 200 is making new highs. The Stockradar portfolio is down 6 this week. We lost a couple of stocks, down to 80 of 189 covered, of which there's 168 stocks and 21 EFTs. The 5-stock portfolio has lost 1 stock, it's 4 out of 5, and the 10 stock is down to 7, so it lost 3 last week. So a little bit of a chip off those portfolios, and the conservative portfolio has been sitting at 6 out of 20, but it still motors along because it holds stocks like JB Hi-Fi, like CBA, James Hardie, Telstra, things like that. On the sector basis, the properties moved up to the top. We've still got the banks up there, and the IMs, the industrial materials, have stayed there. They've had a little bit of an interesting week this week. A bit of pressure coming on Boral and a few of the other stocks there. So we're going to watch that sector, see how it goes. Okay, now let's get into some stocks. Firstly, though, I just want to look at this JBH one. Not that it's sort of an educational one I want to have a look at for you because so many people are interested in this stock. And to me, it's going sideways, and there's nothing really extraordinary about that. It's had a big rally, COVID collapse, rallied again, hasn't really responded to some really good news as much, which is always a bit of a worry for me. It really is in this sideways pattern and has been for pretty well a year now, since last August. Just going sideways. We tried to break up, we failed, we're going sideways. The range is getting tighter. I don't know what's going to happen. There is indecision in the market. I really am only going to focus on this high there. If that breaks, I'm interested. If it doesn't, I'm not. So price is sending a clear message. I don't know what's going to happen next, and neither does the price by the look of it. So, and we're not getting anything from down here. No volume, no momentum, no nothing. So JB Hi-Fi, I'll try and keep an eye on it for any moves that might occur. But for the moment, there's nothing happening, and trend intensity rating is 0. So sideways, flat, neutral, 0. Okay, so that's JB Hi-Fi for now. Okay. Now we can go to one that has had a little explosion. We've got a little bit of a momentum move here from Downer EDI, which it's always been a bit of a funny stock, this one. It's always sort of had its sort of strange periods, but it's breaking up here now, and we're getting this nice little momentum move here. And we can see that there's a fairly strong support for this one. We've got volume here kicking higher, and also the momentum is kicking up from being very flat through this period here. So I think very much trend intensity rating is at 10, which really does look good for Downer EDI, but as always, we protect with a stop loss to make sure we are safe, because we never know what's going to happen next. We can only make an educated guess and follow those trends because they know they continue in one direction. So a new high has triggered a power thrust, and it's moving high quite nicely and quite quickly on Downer EDI on high volume. Okay, now the other one I want to look at is Telstra. Telstra, a little darling, everyone loves to hate it or hates to love it, whatever it is. But really, we've looked at this stock on and off over the last few months. And we did look at this breakup down here, and we talked about maybe getting to $4. Well, we got there, and here we are at $4. Sitting there, we had a big kickback. That's mainly because it went ex-dividend. But the signs are pretty good for this. This is a very, very good trend. So we had the breakup, we had the reversal here, we had all the signals, the right signals there, and then the trend unfolded, and that's been very rewarding for us. It's up 28% since February, which is a pretty good run. And we've also now taken a bit of a couple of dividends in there, so it's been a quite rewarding trade, this one here in Telstra, and very, very, very nice to see it through here, because if we go right back here, we can see exactly where it's come from and exactly where it could get to. It may only just be starting, but this is fairly key, this R1 level, so keep an eye on $4 and see what happens with Telstra for the moment. But it looks pretty good. As I say, this volume's been good, momentum's been good, all the signs are great, so trend intensity rating is 10 for that one. Okay, so now the next one I want to look at is one that I promised last week, which is CSL. Now CSL hasn't been on my target for this for quite some time, and you can see exactly why, because it's been going sideways to down for some time. Okay, since basically February 2020, it's collapsed, it rallied lower high, and just only now are we starting to get some sort of semblance of support in here as we're starting to break above this level here, this recent high, and we may well be moving towards R1 on this one here. So can we break the shackles of this downtrend and challenge the highs? This is a very good sign. We've got a bit of volume here, we've got some momentum kicking higher, and we've also got the moving average kicking higher. Okay, the icing on the cake will be a break of the highs at R1. This is a $300 stock. Not that I'm worried about the price levels, but you know that's where it's heading. 335 is the high, and we'd love to see it through there. So if you want to see our position on CSL, you need to go to Stockradar to find exactly what we're doing there. But for the moment, it's a very interesting picture, CSL, because it has been in this sideways pattern for quite some time. Okay, now we did look at a little chart to start with on the homepage today, which was Pro Medicus. It's had a great run. Again, these momentum trades, you know, you see a long-term trend here and you think, well, maybe I should just hold through the long-term trend. But every now and then there's going to be a big correction in any stock, whether it's BHP, CSL, Pro Medicus. Pro Medicus had a huge correction from $37 down to $15, and we don't necessarily want to be involved in that. So I just trade the momentum moves, which is there have been 2 moves here from Pro Medicus since October 2020, and it's rallied up to, it's had two good rallies here. We did protect it here because I never know when this is going to happen, so I'm always wary of it. Talking about risk management, always managing my risk. Then I can get back in if it makes a new high. That's how the Stockradar strategy works. A new high triggers a move. So we've seen a 45% in 7 months, a 32% in 2 months. That's momentum at its best. Okay, and Pragmaticus, it may still go higher. The buyers are back here. The momentum's very good. The moving average is very good. So all the signs are still strong there. We've got no sign. We just keep raising our stop on this one to protect our move. And it's been a very, very good momentum trade for us of late. Okay, that's Pragmaticus. Now the two I want to look at now, one is we had a very interesting day yesterday. We looked at these two stocks last week, WiseTech and XRO. And if I just squeeze this up a little bit so we can see exactly what's happening here. Okay, and blow this up. So we had a huge crazy move yesterday, got to about $56, $57. It's finished down around 45. It started at 36 this week. So I'm just going to let this settle down and see what happens at the end of the week. Okay, but we have a new high here. We were looking at this move as a potential area to break. It broke through here. We're just looking for the final nail in the coffin up here. We've seen a bit of volume build here. We can't really see because these huge ticks down here, but the volume is building a little bit. We can just see there a little bit, and also momentum is kicking higher as well, which is a great sign, and it's above the average. So WiseTech could be heading off to one of these great growth periods, because the growth stocks are the ones that have done well in this reporting season. Okay, so that's WiseTech. Looks interesting. Is it going to have another growth period? Well, we don't know. All we do, if a trend unfolds, we follow it and we make sure we're protected with a stop loss. Okay, so I'm unfazed by numbers, by price levels, by $10, by $30, whatever it might be. So I just look at the price structure and I respond to that. And if there's a trend there, that's when I follow it. Okay, so WiseTech looks pretty interesting. When we go to XRO, which is its brother in arms, it's not quite as explosive as yet. However, we are at this high point here, which is an interesting period. Now I looked at this one as been quite an interesting one over the last couple of weeks, because we have this average still turning up, which is a very strong sign. Nothing much on the volume side here, but we're now getting a bit of positive momentum here. So this one, we're just waiting for the spark of interest. And again, is 150 expensive? Well, it's not if it becomes $300. So, price levels really are irrelevant to a certain extent. If you say it's expensive, well, it may be expensive if you're looking at $10 or $50, but if you're looking at $300, it's not so expensive. So all in the eye of the beholder. Momentum moves are fantastic. So I'm just waiting for XRO to try and chip through this area to give me a signal to go with it. Okay, so that's XRO. Another example I want to use, which I have quite a few times, and it just continues on this stock, and I think today it's up again. It's just been an amazing mover. Now, it's in a small cap area, so I don't actually cover it, but I have covered it a few times in my small cap alert in the newsletter. But you can see here again, I've got 1, 2, 3 trend moves. We're only 1, 2, 3. And we've all had these corrective phases here. Now, we don't ever know when this is going to happen, this big moves down. So I'm always protecting against it. I'll never take a big drawdown. I'll never hold a big loss, because I'd rather get out and wait till the market gives me a new high or a new signal, and then I'll get back in again. So that's what happened here. We had a reversal trigger at $3. It rallied to here. We took our profit out. We exited the stock there. It's come down. It's given us a new signal here. And it had another run, not a huge run, but it was still a profitable run from around 8 to around 10. And then here again we've just got a new signal here above $11, and it's now, I think it's around $16.50 today. It's had a good run. So it's all about just trading these momentum moves. That's my strategy. That's what I do. Not for everybody, but that's how I do it. So, and again, we can say now that we would love to have bought at $3 and still be holding it, but we don't actually know what would have happened. And if it had come down from $7 down to $4, you'd be going, well, should I still be holding it? Maybe you sold it. I don't know. But that's not my modus operandi. My modus operandi is just to trade these momentum moves. Okay, so you can see here with all these signals here, this one here, and this one here, they all had the volume, momentum. This last one here has been a real doozy, and it's going up quite strongly. So that's ticker data, and that's just an example of how I look at my trend moves, my momentum moves. Okay, So the next one I want to go to is one that didn't quite get through. Okay, we never anticipate a move. Okay, that's the most important thing to remember when you're trading. Wait for your signals. There's always tomorrow. There's always another day. There's no urgency. Things like anticipation and urgency and fear of missing out are all terrible driving forces to make trading decisions. Okay, so we've really just got to wait. If this happens, I do that. If that happens, I do this, and that's how it works. Okay, so in this situation here, it looked very good, climbing up this little trend line here, and it almost looked like it was going to break above here. And these things were pretty well set. There's a bit of volume there. Momentum was positive and it was above the average, but it didn't break through, price being my most important element, and it's failed and come back down. So it'll probably come back down to S1. But sometimes they don't break, no matter how good they look. So just be aware of that. And we can see here the volume down here, and also it looks like this might be sliding quickly back to neutral for Ansell. It may have seen its best days for some time. Okay, now I did promise you another one last week. So the last few weeks I've looked at a few stocks like Horizon, Treasury Wine Estates. Now that's come back a little bit, but I'm not too concerned. Amcor's been another one which has actually been going in a sideways pattern for about since about 2016. It had a huge run up into that period. Then it came back. Then it hit about $16, and really has remained under that level for about 5 or 6 years. Big resistance, big support. Okay, let's just blow this up a little bit so we can have a good look at it. So here we are. It's got all these highs here. So once that breaks, that's a significant level to break. And that suggests to me there's going to be a fairly good lengthy move from here. Not guaranteed, but the odds are that that's going to happen, and I always protect with my stop. So we've got a few clues here. One is we had the big doozy down here from the COVID, then rallied to the highs, came back here, again held the high here, which is a good sign, held a low here, good sign, and eventually we've just seen the breakthrough last week, which has been a good signal, and the odds are this is now going to have a good rally. And if we just have a look more at the volume, you can just see the volume's picked up slightly there, nothing extraordinary, but momentum was good and it's above the average. So trend intensity rating is at 10, which is excellent for Amcor. So that's one to watch, and that's a very significant break for Amcor, so keep an eye on Mr. Amcor. Okay, so last week in trading tactics, last week I covered off the trend swing, the trend reversal. This week I want to talk a bit about momentum trading. Just briefly, I've gone through a little bit with the charts today to give you an idea, but there's never perfection, there is only making money. So we don't get it right all the time, but we get it right more often than not, and that's the aim of the game, because it's not a guarantee to the game. So this week I just want to cover off briefly, especially now the markets are so hot and we're just seeing some really good moves, and to trade some of these moves has been very lucrative for a lot of us. So let's just go through here. So the market always surprises. That's one thing I never forget. It will always surprise you, and I can clearly remember COVID last year at the end of March, all the people I was speaking to saying, well, there's another leg down to go, and sure enough, straight up it went. So it will always follow you. So that's just an example for you to remember. Stick your chart on the wall if you like, and just remember what's happened. This is a 58% move. It's a huge move, and there's been some great money to be made in a lot of stocks. Okay, momentum stocks. Price levels become irrelevant. I talked about, whether it's XRO at 150 or whatever it is. If I look at a stock like James Hardie, a few years ago, late last year, it was at $32. And you may have considered that expensive, I don't know. Comparative to where it had been down here at $15, maybe it was expensive. But now at $54, is it expensive at $32? Not really. So this is all, as I say, in the eye of the beholder and perspective. So I don't concern myself about price levels really. If I get a break, I take it. Price level, you can actually wipe out that little y-axis if you want to. So we've got 69% on James Hardie in 12 months, which is excellent, and it is still going. And the builders have been very strong over a period of time, although I did say before, there's been a little bit of profit taking there in that sector, but James Hardie still seems to be pretty strong. Anyway, that's about price levels. Okay, momentum stocks. Momentum equals power. You get these patterns that occur, you get this consolidation patterns, you start to get this build-up of energy here. You can see the volume starting to build up, momentum starting to build up. I'm not doing anything until this level breaks. Right or wrong, that's how I do it. So once this level breaks, I buy the break, and then this is what's happened. So that's 25% uplift in 9 weeks only. Analyse it out if you like, but it doesn't really matter. But I know when this move is here, because I use a stop profit, I'll always protect the majority of the move that I get. I will never let it go back down to zero or anything like that. Okay, so that's a momentum move. ResMed's powerful. Sonic Healthcare's been powerful. There's been some really good stocks in that health sector that have done well. Helios is another one. So I'm just really looking for the evidence for something to happen, and then I'm jumping on it, riding that wave as hard as I can. Okay, momentum stocks, you must protect, lock in your profit. Okay, so we saw ticker data before, and again, take the amount, when you get your 10 or 15% back, you take your profit, and then you wait until you get another signal. So it doesn't really matter what happens, you're just only focusing on one thing, is it's a signal which, as you said, says you buy the stock now, either a trend's occurring or a new high's occurring, and the price will jump. If it doesn't, your stop loss goes off and you get taken out, and that's the way it works. Okay, so that's ticker data, which has been a great stock. Now I just want to show you really what the Stockradar portfolio at the moment. Of the 189 stocks that I cover, there are 80 in here that are stock picks, and you can see all these stocks up here that are actually rating with maximum ratings of 10. From IPOs to Telstra to Sonic Health to Wesfarmers to Woolworths, there's a lot of these stocks that have done very, very well. And I hate for people to miss out because the market is still running, and I don't know how far it's got to run, but for the moment it is. And there's a lot of stocks in here that are doing very nicely indeed. And you can view all those stocks on Stockradar to have a look at those. So that's how I look at my portfolio of stocks of the 189 stocks covered. And again, just talk a little bit briefly again about the expensive prices. We've covered it off pretty well, I think. But I'm looking at XRA, so don't worry too much about that price tag. Just worry about what the price action is going to do. And at this stage, we do have a trending phase starting to develop, and this will just be confirmation that the strength of the buying is probably going to carry this one higher again. Anyway, wait, watch and see, and we'll see what happens. Okay. Momentum is power in this world, okay? The power to move price and the power to generate profits. Looks easy and should be easy. You just need the right strategy to attack it successfully. Don't try and do everything, just try and focus on one thing. At Stockradar, we don't overcomplicate it, we take a simple signal and run with it. When profits become excessive, we manage the position by taking some off the table while still maintaining exposure, okay? That's the portfolio control offered by a premium portfolio service, which is a little bit different to how I operate in Stockradar. So good luck for trading this week. Thanks for listening. I hope you all learned something today. It's an exciting times, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you.